Hello, I'm Los Angeles City Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell. I want to welcome all of you to the virtual community open house for the Hollywood Walk of Fame Master Plan project. Due to the pandemic, we have to do this virtually, but we like to bring these important community updates. I want residents in Hollywood to have the latest information on the work that we're doing together to improve the experience in one of the most historically and economically significant neighborhoods in the entire city. First, I want to let you know that my office is here to help during the pandemic. On the Los Angeles City Council, I have personally worked on policy that provides protections and relief for renters, relief for small businesses, and meals for those in need, and that will continue all through 2021. In addition to COVID-19 relief, my team works around the clock to address the homelessness and housing crises affecting our city. Even with these challenges, the work continues on important public works projects in the neighborhoods of the 13th District. I want to provide some background on the Walk of Fame Master Plan. We began work on the Master Plan project about 1.5 years ago. Hollywood Boulevard is not just a tourist destination. It's a historic landmark and the main street of a residential neighborhood. Our goal is to create a street for everyone that better serves the community in Hollywood and is an inclusive space that is safe for pedestrians and inviting for all. As we look toward an eventual post-COVID world, we need to plan and we want to make sure that there is better use of our public spaces. Efforts that we have already seeing unfold across the city through programs like LA Alfresco Dining. This project is a master plan, meaning this is a longer-term effort that will unfold over a period of years in collaboration with all of you. The support of the Hollywood community thus far has been incredible. My office has hosted 59 roundtables, which continue weekly, in addition to so many other meetings and discussions that are available to most everyone. Thanks to those of you who have been involved so far, this is indeed a team effort. The project is about 50% through its second design phase, called the schematic design, which we will learn more about today. Before we begin, I'm going to turn things over to the director of my Heart of Hollywood initiative, Mr. Dan Halden.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Councilmember. And it's great to not really see you, but I know I'm seeing you in spirit to the Hollywood neighbors who are here. So obviously, we can't do this as interactively as we normally would like. But if you do have questions that pop up during the presentation, please feel free to just put them directly into the Facebook comments. I know some of you already emailed me as well. Email is fine. We will do our best to kind of get through everything, synthesize all of it as best as we possibly can within the next hour. If there is a question that you have that is not answered, or if you just want to stay engaged, I encourage you to, as the council member mentioned, join us at one of the weekly virtual roundtables. Our next roundtable is tomorrow at 11:00 a.m. If you want to join it, you can email me directly. And we're going to have some information on that at the very end of the presentation. Folks who want to learn more, want to get more questions answered, or want to provide more feedback. As the council member mentioned, this project right now is about 50% of the way through schematic design. That's kind of like the second phase, and there's still a number of phases to go before we eventually get to a point, the point where we want to get, where we start to see some larger scale construction. That's still a ways away. And I go over all of those sorts of details in terms of timeline and potential phasing, et cetera, in the roundtables. So we're so excited to be here with you today, and we hope that you will stay in touch with us as this continues to move forward. Council member, back to you.
Thank you, Dan. As the council member of the 13th District, with the historic Hollywood district within the neighborhood that I represent, it has been important to me that we take a fresh look at the 60-year-old Hollywood Walk of Fame and make it available for everyone, and so that we can have this world-class experience where people live and where people visit. It's a design whose time has come. And Dan, as the director of the Heart of Hollywood, spearheads a design team. I would call it the design dream team, led by Claudia Carroll, with Gensler. So Claudia, if you could please take us through this first phase.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councilmember O'Farrell. We're really excited that all of you have decided to participate with us today. Your input's really important. In fact, it's critical to the project, and we look forward to your questions and comments. So the Gensler team is the lead team for the project, but we have others who are really important to the project, and we're here with the team from Sam Schwartz, our traffic engineers, Studio MLA, our landscape architects, HRG, our historic resources group, and civil engineers from JMC Squared and LSA, and they are just as excited to be here as I am. As you can see from the slide, I'm not seeing it, I hope you all are, there takes a lot of people to work on a project this complex. In fact, it takes a village to make a project like this successful. So we've, next slide please, Jing. We've spoken to many people from the city, many people from the community, and everyone is really critical to the project. Next slide, please. Today, we're going to familiarize those who haven't seen this project before with the project and get those of you who know it better up to date. And we'll review the updates and the concept vision in the first two sections. And then we'll talk about traffic and mobility, the street design, the street trees, and the amenities and furnishings in our presentation to follow. Next slide, please, Jing. So first, a little bit about the project. Next, please. So what's this project about? Well, this project is to improve the Walk of Fame experience for those who live in, work in, and visit the area. And it is our firm belief that because the public streets are so important in our city and it serves a multitude of uses, that the street must be a place for everyone. Next slide, please. As mentioned, the community engagements, really big part of our project. Our ideas need to reflect your ideas. And so we've had 5 focus group meetings to date. Dan, I think, has led over 90 roundtables, and this is our second house. And what we've learned from all of these gatherings is there's consensus for change. People want to see different things, a different condition for Hollywood Boulevard. And it's been, a remarkable common attitude. So as the council member said, if we look at the schedule, Jing, the next, we've finished the first stage, the concept, which we'll review in a minute or two. In January, we're now about halfway through schematic design, which further develops the elements in the concept, where they're located, what they look like. You'll see that today. We've just finished 50% of this. So this gives us enough time to get input and comments back from you, which we can then incorporate into our design by the end of this phase, which we will be finished with in December. So let's take a look at the vision, just rewind a little back to the concept phase. And we can see that the master plan extends the entire Walk of Fame from La Brea to Gower and 3 blocks on Vine. And our analysis of the existing conditions, history, and community engagement led us to create project principles. And the project principles serve as the kind of overarching goals for the project. And for the project to be a success, all of these must be met. And so the first is creating a unique identity of Hollywood. This is a really, really great street, an unusual street, a great place. We're going to establish a forward-looking framework addressing present-day challenges and anticipating future needs of this, which this pandemic is just one of. We're going to provide an exemplary experience for pedestrians, bicyclists, transit riders, and enhance safety for all street users. These improvements will catalyze economic development throughout the Walk of Fame. And the spaces and amenities that you will see will accommodate a range of activities and a range of users. And finally, we respect the historic monument that the Walk of Fame is for the city, and we're going to protect and preserve those historic resources. So this brings us to a vision for the master plan, and our key concept is, again, more space for people. Currently, the sidewalk's very crowded, almost impassable in parts. And when we look at that entire public right-of-way of 100 feet, now only 30% is devoted for people. And we're proposing to change that. What if we can devote 70% to people and the 30% for cars? And we're considering widening the sidewalk so that it transforms the parking lane into a people's space, and that by transforming one lane in each direction of traffic, we can also have a mobility lane. So we think this is very achievable, because what we've seen when we've looked at this is there is a great capacity for change. And for instance, the parking now, the street parking only takes up 2% of the parking in the district. So using that for people instead of parking would not have much of an impact. And then we'll see that all this additional space for the sidewalk, next slide please, can be used for alfresco dining or performances or under other things that are really appropriate for this community. And the new street furnishings will reflect the Art Deco style and the golden age of Hollywood, referencing the great Hollywood history. And finally, here's a look at what the potential of Hollywood Boulevard is. And this is an artist's rendering of what this could be like in the future. Councilmember?
Thank you, Claudia. So as you could tell from Claudia's description thus far, community engagement has been baked in every aspect of this over the past year and a half, and that will continue until we break ground on the first phase. That's been very important in crafting this vision. So please lean in and be part of this if you haven't already joined in as this project moves forward. And as the project is refined, one of the questions that's on a lot of folks' minds is regarding traffic. We have some encouraging data on that front, and to present this information, let's welcome Joe with Sam Schwartz Transportation. Joe, please take it away.
Great. Thank you, Councilmember, and hello, everybody. Great to be back here and share some of the traffic results here. And so I want to take a step back and identify, in 2020, we've been very busy with doing a traffic analysis, but we also did a preliminary traffic analysis in 2019. And what that initial traffic analysis and initial analysis identified is that while Hollywood Boulevard currently today is designed like a lot of thoroughfares in Los Angeles, it doesn't act as a major thoroughfare. Currently, Hollywood Boulevard is only a little bit over 4 miles in its extent. So when you compare that with other through streets that go throughout the city, like Sunset Boulevard, for instance, is 21 miles. And so there seemed to be a real opportunity to do configuration changes. I'll also state, too, that we are sort of in the mid part of our analysis. And so we did a traffic analysis in 2020. There will be more to come in 2021 as well. And we look forward to sharing that with you. So you can see here, as Claudia explained before, we have existing conditions that have 2 travel lanes in each direction, plus a turn lane and parking on the side. And then we're transitioning that space into a future condition that will have 1 travel lane in each direction. We'll maintain the center turn lane, and then also identify special areas for right turn pockets. But this is going to be a major transition commensurate with the type of people demand that we have on the street. The other thing I want to identify at a high level as well is that this is also commensurate with what we're seeing throughout the world as far as major destinations that have a lot of people activity, of taking this shift of designing the space for people as opposed to vehicles. And a final note on this aspect as well, LADOT has already identified this corridor as part of their high injury network. So there's a safety impact here of creating more space for people, because we know that at peak times, those people movements can be dramatic and have a lot of stress on the current right-of-way. Go to the next slide. And so in concert with this, with these changes, LADOT has set up an analysis called the Lane Reconfiguration Guidelines that we followed over the last year through the analysis. And the focus of that analysis is a completion year of 2025, and this includes vehicle volumes generated by planned developments. This also includes traffic counts and inputs that were pre-pandemic, so I just want to make that clear as well. And as you can see here, we've analyzed about 19 intersections as part of this. And the way that this reconfiguration guidelines works is that any time that we see a vehicle threshold of 750 vehicles per hour per lane for the build condition, it generates a deeper analysis. And so on Hollywood Boulevard, we looked at 9 intersections, and what we found is only 3 of 9 of those intersections on Hollywood Boulevard exceeded that threshold. And those intersections that exceeded that threshold are Whitley, Vine, and Argyle. Next slide, please. And as the council member had stated, there is encouraging news. As you could see here, there's 2 different levels here: below 750 vehicles per hour per lane, and then those areas where it exceeds 750 vehicles per hour per lane. And what you see here is a lot of green. So most of the time on most of the corridors, most of the intersections, we are underneath that threshold. And that being said, you could see also that where we do exceed, we're taking a deeper analysis. Next slide, please. Great. And for those analyses, we looked at 8 intersections for future and future with build conditions, and those included 4 intersections on Hollywood Boulevard. Cahuenga Boulevard was added for continuity, even though it did not exceed that threshold. And then 4 intersections on Sunset Boulevard, where we could see, the potential for some minor diversion of traffic that's currently on Hollywood Boulevard that would go on Sunset Boulevard. I'll show the detailed results of this again, but as you can see here, it's a small portion of the corridor that we analyzed with future conditions in a deeper way per the LADOT reconfiguration guidelines. Next slide. So these are some of the preliminary results here. And how we measure results is looking at the impacts of travel time per mile. And so I want to point out a couple of things here. First, there's a 3 color-coded system that if 0 to 2 minutes per mile of additional travel time is in green, 2 to 5 minutes per mile is in yellow, and more than 5 minutes per mile of increased travel time is in red. And as you can see here on the screen, again, encouraging results that we are in the yellow or the green on all of the cells here. The other thing I want to identify too is that there will be future traffic congestion even without the project. And when you look at the difference with the project, we're only talking about an additional couple of minutes per mile that will be added to the travel times on Hollywood Boulevard. On Sunset Boulevard, where we'd see some diversion, as I mentioned before, some of the traffic that's currently on Hollywood Boulevard may choose Sunset Boulevard, and we've identified those impacts here. And as you can see, those impacts are all under that 0 to 2 minute per mile threshold. Next slide. The other thing that we identified as part of this plan too is sort of the regional access to the area. And this is something that we've heard a lot in a lot of our community stakeholder meetings, of just identifying where's the volume coming from and going to. And the one thing I want to point out first, when you look at the east to west traffic here on Hollywood Boulevard, this further proves a point that this street does not operate as a through street compared to some of the other boulevards that run throughout Los Angeles. And so I want to identify that first. And then the other thing I want to identify too is that due to the multiple exits and entrance ramps onto the 101, there's multiple access points to the boulevard, and we can take advantage of a very tight grid in this area as well for distributing traffic. Next slide. And I just want to end off here that we're starting to look at curb management strategy, and we're coordinating with LADOT along the way here to identify that there will be some limited spaces for pullouts on Hollywood Boulevard, but for the most part, we do want to identify how we can use those side streets and adjacent streets for a lot of that heavy loading and unloading activity. Again, similar to the parking, as we identified, we want to ensure that the street serves the functions for this transformation to make the street safer and designed for people. And as part of that, we're going to be integrating a full curbside management strategy that works for the corridor, works for the businesses, works for all the visitors trying to access in a comprehensive manner. So with that being said, I'll turn it back to you, Councilmember.
Thanks, Joe. It was great. A question for you. Is it safe to say that even with the proposed lane reduction on Hollywood Boulevard, the traffic study shows the effects are not expected to be adverse?
That's correct. There will be traffic impacts, but what we're seeing because of the function of the street and its relation to the rest of the city and the traffic impacts and currently how people use
Okay. Appreciate that.
That the impacts will be manageable.
Okay. All right. So, as Joe has said, this data just looks at the traffic impacts only, separate from the overall approach, which is really important. We want to have a clear-cut picture of the data impacts so we can anticipate them as the design moves forward. But it's also important to remember that there would be impacts with or without a project. Traffic will only increase either way. So I think that's one of the takeaways from this presentation. To learn about the proposed street design, let's turn to someone who knows these streets very well. One of your Hollywood neighbors who lives right there in the thick of it all, and that is Lee Wen.
Hi, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you here today and be able to share these drawings and ideas with you. Obviously, in the end, it's about what happens on the street, so let's get into it. Next image, please. So when we met during the community meetings and open house during concept design, there was collaborative sort of consensus on creating sort of two major conditions, or the two types of streets that we have. Very similar, exactly as Claudia described, basically reducing, getting rid of the parking lanes and one lane of traffic each way and creating what we call an enhanced complete street, which I'll get into in a bit. And then peppering within that the pedestrian plazas that could be flexible to be used both as streets, but at times used as spaces for community events and gatherings. Next. So basically that brings us to where we are today. The flesh colored or sort of lighter beige colored parts are where we have a complete street, and sort of the red candy stripe parts are basically where we're proposing to have flexible pedestrian plazas. These plazas actually function as streets, but we're providing provisions, which I'll get into, that allow them to be cordoned off into pedestrian spaces where certain events, whether it's a market or a community film festival or something that could actually take place in the street. Obviously, we already have this happening already for special events. Next image, please. So this slide sort of shows a bit more in detail those two major conditions, the typical complete street on the left and the flexible event plaza on the right. This happens to be taken at the intersection of Vine and Hollywood. There are going to be protected slow mobility lanes for bikes and scooters. And we're looking at a special plaza pavement that I'll get into in a bit on these flexible plazas, which will have retractable bollards that can be put up or put down, depending on whether we're using it as a street or whether we're actually temporarily cordoning it off for a special event or a community event. Next image, please. So this is a sort of blow up, sort of an enlarged drawing of the complete street. And we think this is going to be actually a wonderful way to be able to organize the street into better so that we don't have conflicting forms of mobility. I think anybody who lives in this area, as I do, knows that we have bicycles and skateboards and scooters all in this narrow 15-foot wide piece of sidewalk. We are now expanding that pedestrian sidewalk by 10 feet. We're providing a generous 6-foot wide bike lane with a 3-foot buffer and protection inboard of that, and then having our 3 streetcar street lanes, and then going back to the same condition on the other side of the street. So it'll be definitely an increased amount of space for people to walk, to mingle, outdoor dining to happen, and also be able to provide a very nice experience for cyclists and scooters and skateboarders, so they can also share in this experience without disturbing the pace of pedestrians on the sidewalk. Next image, please. And so in these cases, if we're looking at sort of the 2 ends of Hollywood Boulevard, which is east of Vine or west of Highland, we have, if we're looking in the mid-bit between Highland and Vine, we have a lot of shade trees, and we're looking at actually adding some palm trees on an extended sidewalk to be able to continue this sort of unanimous sort of impression that people have when they visit LA of these row of palm trees going down Hollywood Boulevard, but then using the shade trees to provide, the existing shade trees to continue to provide shade along this pedestrian-oriented space. Next image, please. In the flexible plazas, we are looking to use granite pavers, which I'll get into, actually create patterns that are more decorative in nature, so that when this is used as a space, it really sort of, gives the character of the space more of that of a room. We continue to have bike lanes and expanded sidewalks. And in certain cases, we'll have drop-offs or bus drop-offs as well that are cut into that extra zone of space that we've taken from the parking areas. Next image, please. And in these cases, and now we're talking east of Vine, and west of Highland, we have existing row of palm trees there, which are quite celebratory. So we're looking at now using, if you look at the light blue, sort of new shade trees that are strategically located to be able to provide a bit of shade to this area so that we can encourage sort of the gathering of people and not have to be necessarily in the hot sun on a summer day. Next image, please. We are also going through an exhaustive process of cataloging every single star on the Walk of Fame to understand which ones are in good shape, and all the way to the range of which ones need to be repaired. And so this is part of the scope of work, is to repair and upgrade the existing and restore the existing historic resource of the Walk of Fame. So this is part of the project as well. And we have a catalog of every star all along the boulevard and on Vine Street. Next image, please. So one of the things that we're proposing here on both the complete street condition as well as the flexible pedestrian plazas is to create what we call sort of a zero curb detail, where the sidewalk and the street are seen as one complete unanimous surface, which allows us to treat it very flexibly and then use things on top of that to be able to designate the areas where people walk or tramways go. So in this case, it's the 16th Street Mall in Denver. They use decorative painting across the whole width, but people walk on the edges. They actually added landscape in this case, not in our case, but in this case in the middle, to create some sort of waiting areas for the buses that actually run along this space. Next image, please. In Seattle, this is Fremont Place, which is basically where the monorail sort of ends to take you to the Space Needle. Again, 3 types of decorative paving here. You can see cars driving over this, 3 lanes of traffic driving over this, where people walk. And in the summertime, they actually close this area off, put tables and chairs out here, and they actually use it as a living room. In fact, it's referred to that in the city of Seattle. Next image, please. So we're doing something similar here in the flexible plazas. And in the choice of materials, we're looking at 3 things. One, sort of the color hue being complementary to the existing dark terrazzo on the Walk of Fame, being able to actually use some kinds of paving where necessary, where we can, to actually have it be pervious so that actually can help a little bit with the water management, and durability. So in the plazas themselves, we're looking at using granite pavers, which is one of the toughest materials you can use. It's very durable, and using them in 3 colors to be able to create these patterns. The bike lane, we're looking at using, maybe the buffer zone as well, we're looking at using pervious concrete. And then the extended sidewalk, we're looking at using a poured concrete with feldspar, so it has a bit of sparkle to relate to the glamour of the existing Walk of Fame. And then there's a utility strip, which is right on the perimeter of the existing Walk of Fame, that gets cut up a lot and dug up a lot because they want to access things underground. And we're using concrete pavers, very heavy, large concrete pavers in a very similar color to the black terrazzo to maintain that historic resource. Next image, please. And the decorative paving in this is really, as Claudia mentioned earlier, really harks back to the golden age of Hollywood, using these diamond patterns in 3 different colors. And we're looking at creating, shall we say, slightly different personalities for each one of these plazas, so they're also located where significant historical research buildings are, historical significant buildings are. So obviously in front of the Pantages, we're obviously looking at ones between sort of Orange and Highland, where the Kodak Theater and the El Capitan, the Grauman's Chinese Theater is. We're also considering one in front of the Egyptian Theater, which is a very important structure, one in the mid-bit around the historic sort of restaurants and Maselli's and Musso and Frank's, and perhaps one we're thinking of in front of the Pacific Theater to encourage sort of that redevelopment of that particular block. Next image, please. We're also looking to do something similar in the intersections as well. So the one on the left is the one we're looking at using on the scramble walks that exist now on Highland and Vine, more with a sort of an X pattern that talks about sort of the crosswalk of a scramble walk, whereas on the more traditional crosswalks, it'd be the one on the right, which is more of a square to encourage, the traditional crosswalks that go perpendicular to the street. Next image, please. And that's it. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Lee, and especially as a resident who lives literally right there in the middle of where all of this will be, your observations are very helpful. Now, clearly, you've looked at other streets in the U.S. and around the world, and why do you feel it's so important to borrow from some of the themes that you've seen implemented in other major cities that are applicable to what we can do in Hollywood?
Right. Well, I think I'm glad you brought that up, Councilmember O'Farrell, which is that, we did look at a lot of streets. We didn't have enough time to show them all here, but, some of the obvious ones that were discussed amongst the team and with the community in the concept design phase were the Champs-Élysées, the Ramblas in Barcelona, Oxford Street in London, and even Nanjing Road in Shanghai. And we even looked at some others beyond that. And they all shared several common components. One is the 70%, 30%. That is 70% for people space and 30% for automobiles. That is actually almost a pretty consistent metric amongst all those very pedestrian, well-known streets. The other thing is they also, started to actually create pockets of green and trees so they could actually provide shade that would encourage people to not only walk along the streets, but also rest and actually partake in community or neighborhood activities. There are other things that they also share in common relative to how they approach using the scale of the street. So let's say the Champs-Élysées, it's almost like 1.5 miles. It's not that much longer from the Arc de Triomphe, Place de la Concorde, but they actually broke it up in segments so it doesn't feel quite as long, because that's a long walk. We're trying to use the pedestrian plazas to do something similar, where we can punctuate Hollywood Boulevard more into like quarter mile sort of segments, quarter miles to, more or less segments, so that it doesn't feel like one continuous unanimous experience, but a series of segments and, shall we say, adventures along the boulevard, because the boulevard already has sort of distinct features as you move from one end of it to the other. Hopefully that answers your
Those are
question.
wonderful examples. I mean, I would argue that Los Angeles deserves to have our own Las Ramblas or our own Champs-Élysées. And I think everyone, when they think of Los Angeles and they think of a major boulevard, they think of Hollywood Boulevard. And so this is really exciting. Now, something else about the treatment that you're leaning toward and that you just gave the overview of in terms of the granite, right? Granite?
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's right, granite.
So right now on Hollywood Boulevard, it's asphalt. Now we know that asphalt just soaks up the heat and then reflects it right back up. So we have this urban heat island effect. So one advantage of granite is that it repels the heat. And that's something that kind of leads us into our next topic, which is the tree canopy. So we strive to also have an environmental lens with what we do in the public sphere, public rights of way. And it's important to grow our tree canopy and our urban forest. So I'd like to welcome Matt Romero, talk about the proposed greening strategy for this master plan, which is a very, very important element of what we plan to do on the boulevard. Matt?
Hi, thank you, Mitch. So we know that there's a lot of focus here with the street tree strategy along Hollywood Boulevard and Vine, and in Hollywood in general, as well as the city of Los Angeles. In the city, we really love our trees. We really appreciate the benefits that we see from our urban tree canopy in terms of carbon sequestration and reducing the heat island effect. So this project is no different. We think it's a really great opportunity to hit those goals. And so As Gensler mentioned earlier, they have some guiding principles that we are sticking to as a project team, and our own internal team at Studio MLA is honoring those principles and utilizing them to develop our own principles as we approach the street tree planting strategy. So those principles are to highlight the landmarks in places of significance to accentuate the experience of the Walk of Fame, design the plants in the tree planting plans to promote good health of urban ecology and resiliency, accentuate existing tree districts as a means for wayfinding and walkable scale. So what this means is that we're striving to create a safe and comfortable walking space, design tree layout to reinforce a street corridor with continual interest, select trees that improve the urban realm experience, and select and plant trees to maintain visibility to historic buildings. So this is a really important set of guidelines that we have used to inform our overall strategy here for Hollywood Boulevard and Vine. What we see here is a diagram that shows that strategy, taking into account all of those principles. So what we know is that we have the Mexican fan palms that beautifully line and really are iconic for the Hollywood Walk of Fame and for Los Angeles, and are certainly something that people come to expect when they come to visit the Hollywood Walk of Fame. So what we plan to do is to extend the Mexican fan palms through the middle part of the Hollywood Walk of Fame from Highland to Vine to really provide that iconic double row of palm trees as you move down Hollywood Boulevard. And where we do see existing shade trees, some of those really great shade trees that we see, the jacarandas, the ficus trees, mature tree canopies that offer plenty of shade and carbon sequestration that we need along the Hollywood Boulevard. We intend to really build upon that and reinforce that shade canopy, not only through the area between Highland and Vine, but also along the edges of the Hollywood Walk of Fame, from La Brea to Highland and from Vine to Gower, as well as along Vine Street. Next slide, please. So when we look at that concept, it's a very high level concept. So what does this mean in terms of selecting trees? We've gone through a very rigorous process, our design team, to select the trees, honoring what is existing right there now, and knowing that we're faced with certain complexities such as climate change. We want to make sure to really take all of these issues into consideration. So we're looking at the type of tree, the size of the tree, the agency requirements for the planting of those trees, the growth rates. We certainly want to see trees that will grow very quickly and provide that shade opportunity throughout the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We want to make sure to use trees that have a low or medium water use, have a low or medium potential for root damage, as we do not want to cause any issues with safety, and want to maintain our existing sidewalks, as well as the flower. We're taking into account the existing jacarandas, and I think anyone that has lived in Southern California and in Los Angeles for some time has come to appreciate. It's a welcomed time of year when those jacarandas are blooming. So we really want to complement that bloom period and with the color and the textures with the additional trees that we will be providing. So those tree typologies that come from the review of all these characteristics are a large shade tree, canopy width to be a minimum of 35 feet and to be a growth rate of very fast. Small shade trees that may be a minimum of 15 feet with a growth rate to be moderate, as well as accent trees. We want to make sure to provide visual interest and color and texture throughout the year. And lastly, the palm trees. So we want to make sure to utilize the existing Mexican fan palms and reinforce that really iconic double row of palm trees along Hollywood Boulevard. And the date palms. The date palms at Vine and Highland will remain in place, as they are really important accent palms at those important nodes. Next slide, please. Okay, and lastly, these are the selections for the trees that we've undergone our selection process. These are the large trees, the small trees, the gateway accent trees, and the existing trees that we plan to reinforce. So the large trees, we plan to use a Chinese elm, as well as potentially the Tippview tree. For the small trees, we plan to use the pink trumpet tree, as well as potential alternate of the crepe myrtle. For the gateway accent trees, we really want to have something really special in a big grand moment. And so we've chosen the silk floss tree for the gateway accent trees. And lastly, the jacaranda and the Mexican fan palm. We'll be utilizing both of these trees to reinforce what's already there at Hollywood Walk of Fame and make sure that we have a consistent design language when it comes to the street tree planting.
All right, Matt, thank you so much. We really appreciate your thoughtful approach to creating this tree canopy really from whole cloth. The beauty about what we're doing also is that there's more real estate for people and landscaping. So we have a broader range of choices to make by virtue of that. So that's really wonderful. Now, my office has planted countless trees all across the district. Since I took office, I'm a huge believer in growing the urban tree canopy, reducing the urban heat island effect, new innovative surfaces for streets that reduce that heat that comes from asphalt. And I think moving forward with climate change, which is upon us, there's no question about it, what we do at the local level in cities is really going to be helpful to inform perhaps what other municipalities can do. And our future generations are really going to depend on this. So it's a really important element of this. We also want to activate the spaces that we're talking about. So if someone could walk us through this section, and we're going to hear from JT about the amenities in the spaces that are on the drawing boards for the Walk of Fame Master Plan. JT.
Thank you, Councilmember. Hi, everybody. For these last few slides, we just want to take a look at some of the designs for the kiosks and the street furnishings that we have planned for the Walk of Fame streetscape. On the next slide, you can see a enlargement of one of our dining kiosks. We're taking cues from the Art Deco period. You can see it's in a streamliner diner type shape. And the material is an antiqued brass finish that relates directly to that brass rim that's around all the existing pink stars down the Hollywood Walk of Fame. On the next slide, you can see how we're progressing the design of that, that dining kiosk. These are open air. They have a trellis on the top. You can see we're planning on planting some vines that intertwine with the trellis. There's some permanent seating and some movable tables and chairs for maximum flexibility. And we're planning on having roll down grills that lock for the off hours. I guess you can imagine like twinkle lights up in the trellis and candles on the table and having a great place to have a dinner before or after you see a show on Hollywood Boulevard. And the next slide, you see we're taking that same idea and carrying it over to a retail or a shopping type kiosk that extends the range of the retail out onto that extended sidewalk. There's shelves and tables in there to put the wares on. And again, this would have a roll down grate and it would just help activate and have more activity out there on the extended sidewalk. And here you see a similar kiosk that could be for information and outreach. You could have a couple of docents in here where you could get information about the Walk of Fame, maps, information about where to eat, all that kind of visitor center type activity could be put in an information and outreach type kiosk. All these kiosks are about 20 feet long and 8.5 feet tall, and they're planned on being factory built and brought out to the site and placed wherever desired along the Walk of Fame. Next slide. And then here you see we have an idea for a platform bench, which is in the same footprint as a kiosk, but it's only 18 inches tall. So it's perfect for sitting on under a shady tree. And they're big enough that you could have a small performance or a band play or have a speech happen on top of the platform bench, which could enliven the streetscape even more and promote that performance spirit that is Hollywood. And then we have the idea to have a bus stop design in the similar vein aesthetic as the other kiosks, just to give you some sun protection and some rain protection while you wait for the bus. And this view is looking from the street side where you would get off the bus. And then for the furnishings, we're trying to have simple, strong, maintainable, but elegant street furnishings that you can see all relate to each other in form, finish, color, but also relate to the overall aesthetic that we're planning for Hollywood Boulevard. Then on the next slide, you can start to see how all these things would fit together, from the bus shelter to the dining kiosk platform, benches, all in that extended sidewalk area. You can see how it relates to the pink stars of the existing Walk of Fame, the row of existing palm trees, and those big circles are our proposed new shade trees. And with that, I will turn it over to Claudia so she can go through some of the project benefits of the project overall.
Thanks, JT. So in closing, we're really excited about this streetscape. We think will totally change the environment on Hollywood Boulevard and provide a lot of benefits to all the members of the communities. The expanded sidewalks will provide 65% more space for people and amenities. We'll be adding up to 600 new street trees. As Councilmember O'Farrell said, this is really a huge benefit for our natural environment. There will be over 290 stars repaired or restored, really adding to the historic importance of the Walk of Fame. 5 proposed event plazas. Now, these are temporary plazas which can be opened or closed as needed for community events, and that's over 2 acres of open space available to the public. Enhanced bus stops, and very importantly too, enhancing safety by creating 10 new, more accessible, upgraded crosswalks. And we think in all that the overall improvement for the people who live in Hollywood, work in Hollywood, and visit Hollywood will be immeasurable. Councilmember?
Thank you, Claudia. JT, thank you. Thank you to everyone who presented. This is very exciting. I hope that everyone who is viewing this shares in the excitement that I feel. And I think we're really on our way to a great future for the Boulevard. And just to reiterate again that all of you in the Hollywood community are integral in making this happen. And we do have time for some questions. So I'm going to ask Dan Halden, the director of the Heart of Hollywood, to take it away from here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Councilmember. And like I said earlier, and to pick up on the fact that the neighbors, the community, is extremely important, to have that engagement. We have a roundtable coming up tomorrow at 11 o'clock. So just email me. Also, we're going to make sure that this presentation stays online. You can see the schedule here for the rest of the calendar year. You can also go to our website where you can view the concept plan. You can view FAQs, which we will continually update. We have a survey. We'll probably continually update that as well. And then all of the information as well for the roundtables are on the Heart of Hollywood website. And that's just part of our strategy to stay continuously engaged with all of you. As Councilmember O'Farrell mentioned, this is a longer term effort. This is not happening tomorrow, but it will happen over a period of time. And in order to be able to do that successfully, we want to make sure that we stay engaged and connected with all of the different stakeholders and folks in Hollywood. So we do have some questions, and I'm going to try to get to as many as possible. But again, if you don't get your question answered, or you have more questions, or you want to be involved, come to a roundtable, be in touch with me, please, and be more than happy to get you involved. So Councilmember, the first question is for you, and it's from Dorsey. Hi, Dorsey, I hope you're watching. How has the pandemic affected the future of the master plan?
Dorsey, hello. Good to hear from you. So how has it affected the future of the master plan? I think it hasn't affected the future of the master plan because we triggered this process long before the pandemic began, and we have focused in on the planning stages ever since, notwithstanding all of our other efforts as a city, as a county, to help take care of the residents of Los Angeles as it relates to people being affected by the devastating economic and health impacts of COVID. So we're still doing that, but just like all ambitious efforts of the past, during the Great Depression, planning went in effect for some of the great public works projects that were built as the Great Depression came to an end. Likewise, we can still plan for a post-whatever future, in this case, a post-pandemic future. And we're not using any funding whatsoever on any of this that could actually be used for COVID relief. So we're not, I don't believe our efforts for approaching assistance for people in need during the pandemic are affected by the planning of this at all. So we'll be ready once the pandemic eases to move forward with actually effectuating what we're talking about today with this master plan.
And something else that's interesting too, Dorsey, and for anybody who's watching is, and this was referenced earlier, Councilmember, I think you mentioned this, there are sort of stopgap or temporary things that are currently in place, like the LA Alfresco program, which is outdoor dining, which is a concept that we started working with a lot of enthusiasm from Hollywood stakeholders prior to the pandemic. Now, because of the pandemic, we see that there's a lot of interest, obviously, in doing that right now for economic necessity, but that might be something that continues to stay in the city of Los Angeles as we think about our public spaces overall, not necessarily just Hollywood Boulevard. The second question is from Greg, who lives on Whitley. Hello, Greg. And Councilmember, this is a question that's basically about maintenance. You do a project, a public works project. Are you thinking about maintenance as part of this effort?
Absolutely. Every infrastructure project that we bring forward, no matter how large and ambitious or how small, comes with requirements of irrigation systems. Now, something wonderful about Hollywood is that it's a very organized community with existing organizations that already are taking some responsibility for some of the maintenance along the boulevard. So we'll work with existing organizations. We'll also put together a maintenance plan for the Walk of Fame master plan implementation. That will be part and parcel. And I think it's a great question, first of all, and a great concern, because I think we've all seen projects come in, as sort of with a one-off approach, and then they kind of go to seed. Well, that won't happen here because I want to invest equally in how we maintain it well into the future.
Yes, and if you go to heartofhollywood.la and you look at the 91-page concept plan, you will find that on page 90, it speaks a little bit to some of the initial ideas about how to approach maintenance and management and operations, when this gets built out. The next question, Councilmember, is from Kristen on El Cerrito. Hello, Kristen. Thanks for chiming in. And this has to do with parking. We talked a little bit about this earlier. As in conjunction with the repurposing of the parking lanes that are there right now on Hollywood Boulevard, is there any plan to increase parking structures, or how is that going to be addressed?
That's a great question. And parking is one of the most misunderstood components of Hollywood Boulevard as it is now. My second year in office, I commissioned a study, a parking study. And what we learned from that is that at any given time, only 40% of the parking structures and the public parking lots all along the Walk of Fame are occupied, just 40%. So we have also, you might have seen some of the wayfinding signs and the feedback signs for the existing parking structures that tell you how many spaces there are within the parking structures that do exist. And so that's part of this overall master plan approach. There's ample parking in Hollywood, and more people are going to realize that and learn that. It's actually quite convenient to park in one of the public parking garages that we have now. So what we're working on in the now is making sure that all the pricing is consistent, that it's fair, and that it actually encourages people to park in a structure and stay for a while and enjoy what is available on the boulevard. Lastly, as you heard in the traffic study, is that only 2% of parking overall in Hollywood can be found along the boulevard. And Dan, how many spaces is that total?
There's about 180 parking spaces currently on street on the Walk of Fame, and that's about, as you said, 2% of the 8,454.
Right, there you go.
nearby.
So as you can tell, Dan is a numbers guy. So although that 2% of parking is very convenient, it really is at the exclusion of making the boulevard more available for a whole lot more people and a whole lot more experiences. So we will take the responsibility of making sure that all motorists are informed of where there is ample parking along the Walk of Fame.
And one other thing that I would add to that is that the council member was talking about the digital wayfinding, which if you're interested in that, as we've already unveiled phase 1, just talk to me about it. I'd be happy to talk to you about parking and parking signage at any time. We're also working on reactivating and enhancing the network of digital messaging signage around the perimeter of Hollywood. I know there was a question or two about special events and traffic. If there's a movie premiere during non-pandemic times or the Hollywood Bowl or something like that. One of the things that we're working on that will be unveiled before construction on the master plan begins is digital messaging signage that allows motorists to know in advance, perhaps days in advance, that something is coming, something is happening, there's going to be a street closure. So that's part of the overall effort to improve the status quo as soon as possible. Last question before we run out of time. And I'm going to pose this one to you, Lee, since you talked about the street design. This was a question from Teresa about asking, is the pedestrian promenade still being considered? And I know when you were talking about the configuration ideas, we've considered a lot of options, including a promenade option, but we settled on a certain way. Can you tell us a little bit as to why the design team ended up going with the option that is being presented today?
Sure. I mean, I think I'm sorry, who was the person who asked the question?
This is Teresa, who chimed in on Facebook.
Hi, Teresa. It's a good question. It has been considered, and quite honestly, I think none of us know where the future of the city is actually going. So one of the big things that we try and do with the master plan is make provisions for the future. When we went through the community meetings and the open houses, the majority consensus at the time and to the present time is not to pedestrianize the whole boulevard. However, it would be short-sighted to not think that that might happen at some date in the future. So the pedestrian plazas thing for us, have them flexible where you can take down the bollards and still use it as a street, but actually bring up the bollards and use it as a space, I think is a way of being able to encourage us to transition more to what maybe you're talking about. Whether that gains a foothold or not, we don't know. But we do believe that what we're designing right now, and we're very happy with the way it's going, is that it provides for that opportunity in the future. I think cities tend to be more about evolution than revolution. And I think the consensus that we got and the feedback we got in concept design is we're not quite there yet, but we should prepare for that. And so our design is aimed to be able to provide that platform should the city decide to further involve, or I should say this boulevard decides to further evolve into an all pedestrian situation. We would be in a position to accommodate it at that time.
Thank you, Lee. And now we're running out of time, so I want to just stop here.
Please.
And I want to thank, I see Bhuvan from the Department of Transportation. Thank you, Bhuvan. Thanks for joining us. I want to thank our city's Bureau of Engineering, Transportation. I want to thank Gensler for your wonderful work, all the engineers and experts involved in this project. I want to thank Dan Halden, my Director of Heart of Hollywood, and just everyone and the community. Keep asking questions. Please keep staying involved as this evolves. And I think we'll end up with a product that will meet widespread support. So the community engagement continues. Please do visit our website at heartofhollywood.la or email Dan Halden. And his email address was right up there. We're easy to get a hold of in my office. To attend a virtual roundtable, virtual because of COVID, and to be part of this process as it unfolds. Thank you, Channel 35, once again for providing your studio for this, and I hope you all have found it worthwhile, and we will see you at the next one. Thank you so much, and be safe.